Leeda, correct? In
Yes.
Hawaii. Beautiful young lady. I am author of 21st Century Superhuman, and this is one of our 21st Century Superhuman guest shows. Leeda and I were just talking, and what is so exciting is we are turning into such a global community, and there's people, the reason I'm talking to Leeda today is because of some wonderful friends in the Netherlands who wrote me and said, why don't you interview her? And so here we are, and they actually sent me the beautiful piece that you wrote on GANS, and I had no idea it was you, but I had already seen the piece, and so we've got all these great things going on, and I want to talk about that in a minute, but why don't you just give us a little tiny introduction to you, how you and your husband got involved in this, and what's going on for you guys, because you've got an exciting workshop going on right now.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you
Sure.
so much for setting this spontaneous interview up. And I'm so happy to know that our global community is all such a beautiful family of light beings, and they referred me for this interview. So thank you to whoever did that. My husband and I, you might know us. We have a YouTube channel under the name Leeda Safa. That's Leedasafa, and we've been documenting our whole process of building the Magrav since October, when the blueprints were released. And so that's all up on YouTube, and the videos were created, one, to document our whole process and show that, you know, regular people can do this, but also we did it in a quite creative, kind of a fun way, and people have really responded well with those interviews. But since 2010, I've been more or less following the Keshe Foundation, and really, really in line and resonant with the teachings, as well as the implications of what this means for our planet and for the human family. And so it's just really exciting to be where we're at now, because now I feel like the collective consciousness is really ready for it. Whereas in 2010, there were some, but it wasn't like the collective was really open to it and really wanted. Now we're at the time where everything is just really blossoming and really opening, and so it's exciting.
It's like I think the ignition point was like 2012, December 12th, 2012. And then here we are just in blast off mode. And it really does seem like the whole old matrix is collapsing. We're listening to collapsing economic systems. And I know we've literally got millions now around the planet who are stepping out of the matrix, who are saying, we want to be living free, creative lives. We don't want to go to meaningless jobs anymore. We don't want to be in debt and paying taxes and all the disclosure that's happening about everything we need to leave behind. And it's just so, so, so exciting.
Yeah, well, it's the return of our sovereignty, right? It's the return of who we know we truly are, when we are ready to honor that truth of who we are. And the plasma is really that consciousness interface to say, okay, if you're ready to know the truth of who you are, then you're ready to be a co-creator. You're ready to understand that you are God. God is not separate from you. So you're dealing with the God particle.
Beautiful. I know you've written some really great things, and actually something of yours got to me before I actually met you, and I'd like for you to read that. I'd also just like to mention, because this is in my book, 21st Century Superhuman, UCLA has done studies on 1 million of the younger generation, showing that they've come in with more awake DNA. And I call you a member of this crew that has showed up on planet Earth to help us activate this awakening. And I just absolutely love talking with you and the energy that you have.
Thank you.
Would you like to read us your beautiful piece and maybe share where you feel like your galactic information comes from?
Sure, absolutely. It is my passion and my joy. So I will read it. I'll just preface before I read this that this is, this consciousness is within all of us. It's within every single one of us. It is the truth that we are multidimensional beings, and that when we engage in that consciousness and that knowing that we are multidimensional, we can engage in expanding our consciousness outwards, upwards, however you want to look at it. And then you can access what I call the unified field of consciousness, where there is no duality, there is no charge. It's a neutral field of omni-love, and that's where this is coming from. So I'll read it now. And this is in regards to the GANS. So it says the GANS is in essence pure love or unconditional love in its purest state of matter. Therefore, intrinsic within its beingness is the desire to give and provide for the benefit of the whole. It is the closest thing to source energy that has been manifested within your reality, and as such, it will reorganize itself to provide for the needs of those whom interact with it. It is a consciousness interface, and those who begin to work with their GANs will soon discover that they are interfacing with a substance that requires one to be connected and aware of all life. Those who begin to create and harvest their GANs shall be embarking on a cellular and spiritual journey, as the fields that begin to interact with one's soul will begin to magnetize that soul to the remembrance of oneness, where all life was birthed from the center point of creation. Therefore, one must be open to this process and be willing to remember the greater truths of their connection to the all and the one. The GANs will gently accelerate this remembrance for them by stimulating their quantum, nano, subatomic structure to realign its positioning with respect to that which is true, whole, and organic. This process slowly helps the mind, the body, and spirit to reactualize its connection with source energy and begin to interact with the subtle energies that are presently being returned to Earth and all of her inhabitants. Therefore, we encourage and advise those of whom feel inclined and inspired to begin working with your GANs to open your heart and your mind to allow for the process of remembrance to unfold within your bio-spiritual anatomy. Once you allow for this process to unfold, there can be no stopping it, and it shall move with the pace that you are able to maintain with respect to your overall growth and development.
Wow, 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 wow. I mean, how can any of us negate what is coming in when we hear those kind of words? And I know that came from your higher self, your sense of our being here. It's just absolutely fantastically beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think how powerful the field is when actually I was handed that piece a couple of weeks ago and I was like, who wrote this? I want to meet the person who wrote it. And then today I just get sent to you and shown that it was you. And it is just, I think it's really an example of the kind of souls that are here right now and what is being brought through the field to us and how from our own sense of our higher being. And thank you so much for being such a spokesperson for it.
Oh, thank you. No, I honor your work as well. It's so wonderful how we're all bringing our own talents and abilities and passions and really just following where our joy is. I think the plasma, as Keshe has introduced it to us and opened these doors for us, is something that many of us have been encoded to
Yes.
activated by and initiated by. We've been
Absolutely.
It's like a missing puzzle that we've always known that something is missing. There's this something missing in reality, that reality is really gone. It's become distorted. There's the balance is gone. And where's that harmonizing field? Where is that? And the field that's harmonizing is the plasma. It's the unified field that we've all been waiting for.
Absolutely. And do we want to say really quickly what GANS is in relationship to the plasma field? Would you like to express that?
Yeah, I can try to talk about the GANs.
I know you guys are making GANs. Good. I'm glad you have some right there. I'm making.
Yes, this is the CO2 that you make with the zinc. I've only got a little bit here in this little container.
I have a jar like that right over on my dresser too.
This one's white. And then this one is the CO2, or sorry, the CuO that you make with the nano-coated copper and the bare copper.
Beautiful.
For somebody who is not familiar with the GANS, it's what Mr. Keshe refers to as the true fourth state of matter, which is to say that, it's in a plasmatic state. It's like tiny little suns that are in balance. And so, it's unlimited, the potential. And it's really kind of like a blank slate where any instruction set can be given to it. And it can offer itself to anything that we desire for it to be offered to, is my interpretation of what the GANS is.
And so what we're using...
Oh, Carrie, I can't hear you. Am I supposed to hear it?
Sorry, I hit my mute. I was trying to unmute myself and I muted myself.
Okay.
So what we are using it for right now is healing tools and
Yes.
Energy transmission devices. One of the things I like to say, and is in my book, is John Hagelin, who is now the head of the Transcendental Meditation movement, and is also a brilliant quantum physicist who ran for president of the United States a few times on the independent ticket. Yeah, he says the field is like effervescent ginger ale. It is just waiting for our thoughts upon it to bring matter and events into being. And I think GANS is kind of like our interface. It's one of our interfaces with that. It's one of, John Carl Anderson says it's sort of like atomic popcorn, kind of. It's like atoms that have been popped open.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like a transmitter of this energy field that we're surrounded by, that Nassim Haramein says, space is not empty. This is the source field that we're living in.
Right.
So it's these tools that we're beginning to understand. And I'm sure someday we'll know how to do this without needing any tools. But
exactly.
Right now, it's really fun to have these tools and devices that are helping us understand how to channel this energy into our world.
Yes, it is. It is very fun to have these bridges and tools to really kind of catalyze our own development and into the, where we're going, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. So you guys have a conference going on right now. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So we have a workshop, 2 workshops actually. One is this weekend and one is next weekend. And we have invited Mike Nashif, who is, from my understanding, the teacher for the United States for the Keshe Foundation. I believe they've invited him to do that, which is a wonderful honor. And Mike Nashif is, he's here. I just picked him up last night, and he's going to be teaching this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we've got a group of, 50 and growing. And it's going to be an intimate setting, but there's just so much excitement, so many people eager and really feeling within their heart and soul that they want to be a part of this revolution, a part of this solution. And so, it's going to be at a beautiful off-grid location called the Rainbow Tree School, which is a profound, like, New Earth kind of school.
Oh, fun.
That's, yes.
So have people, is it mostly attendees from Hawaii, or have people come from other places to be there?
Interestingly enough, I've just got a family that just landed that flew here from Canada. And I've got a couple coming from the Ubuntu Volcano Center in California. I've got, let's see, I think that's it, flying from overseas, unless, there's a possibility. There's talks of other people coming, but I think other than that, mostly are Hawaiians, locals coming.
Well, Hawaii is such a great place. I know you have a gathering of really wonderful people over there.
It's definitely what I call an ascending pocket on the planet. The consciousness here is it's really exciting to be a part of.
And you are on Kauai, correct?
Yes, Kauai.
I remember standing above the Nepali coast years ago and thinking to myself, wow, I feel like I'm energetically in a place that's really generative. It's generating life and creativity and kind of the place, one of those places where life probably began on the planet. I don't know.
You're definitely onto something there. Yeah. I mean, you know, what I do besides obviously all the plasma stuff and everything is, intimately work with the grids, intimately work with the ley lines and the magnetic grids of the planet. And Kauai is definitely a very key location for where energy comes in and leaves. And so yeah, there's a lot happening here on this island.
That is great. So tell me a little bit of your story. How did your husband and you kind of, I know you said you came from the northeastern United States and northwestern, sorry, United States
Yes,
and Canada,
yeah.
and then decided to move to Hawaii maybe a year ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, we came to Kauai December of 2014. And so we haven't been here too long, but we got here and it was like welcoming arms from every different angle. We knew right away within the first week that this was home, for now anyway. And everything was just so flawless and so synchronistic. And yeah, before that we lived in Canada, in Golden, British Columbia, and we knew that it was time, when we felt the call to really model sustainability and sovereignty, that Canada was, with our young children. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. It was proving to be quite difficult to do that, to want to grow our food year round, to want to, model that for everybody, to create the blueprint for the community that we were envisioning to be a part of. So yeah.
You know, I think that's a really important example of when we start listening to our hearts and we start realizing that we want our outer life to begin reflecting what's in our heart. Sometimes we may need to pack up and move and live closer to a community that can even support in the outer the kind of lifestyle that we're looking for. And I think there's a little bit of that going on the planet, people starting to coalesce different places. And if they haven't gone yet, I think it's in a lot of people's minds and hearts as far as the dream of being in community with others and being in climates where food can be grown and not having as many regulations maybe. I know Hawaii just kind of, I hear, at least I read online, that they just axed
the vaccine
thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, that's wonderful.
So exciting.
Yeah, major celebration there. Yeah.
And so then what was you guys' like introduction to the Keshe work and plasma?
Yeah, that one, it's my answer to that is more, I feel like on a soul level, we all have very, very specific, when we are in the driver's seat of our soul and we're really, really listening to what it is that brings us the most joy and the most satisfaction as far as what we're doing here on the planet, then we are magnetized and attracted to different people, information, communities. So for me, it was, as soon as, like I say, it was 2010 when it really came to the forefront of my consciousness, when I saw Keshe, and when I saw him, it was a recognition that I knew him on a deeper level. I knew him on a dimensional level, and I knew what his mission was and his purpose was. I knew that I would help him facilitate it.
Wow.
So I definitely kept him and the teachings on my radar.
And that was 2010, you said?
Yeah, that was 2010.
Wow. So that's like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
How did you hear of him? You must have just been really magnetically in the right place.
Well, yeah, I think that when, for me, I had a very profound, awakening, if you want to call it that, my process of shedding everything that wasn't serving me on a higher expression of myself in 2006, I would say. And so when that happened, I just got a backpack and every day woke up with the mantra that I'm going to be of service and express myself in the highest and best way. And so there was very little that was out of alignment for me at any time for
Beautiful.
years. It's a blessing. Yeah.
You know, I've been doing this a lot of years. I mean, really my whole adult life. I've had kind of really an adventure of being on an awake path for my whole adult life, which I'm really grateful for. But I heard some Native American prophecies recently. And one of the things they talk about is that just before we get to this point where we recognize our oneness as a race of beings on this planet, there will be a group of people who have their backpacks on their backs and they'll be moving from place to place. And I know, you know, I recognize it right away. And I know there's a lot of us. I mean, my possessions kind of fit, you know, I have like got a couple duffel bags and hardly anything. And I am very mobile. I can't even imagine not being mobile. It's like there's something in me that's like, if my energy is needed over here, I need to go over here. And,
Exactly.
and I think we're all being, I always say, you know, it isn't that I decide to go somewhere. It's that the universe is moving me over here because my energy is needed in the field over here. And I think a lot of us our energy is just feeding into the planetary grid. And we are, you know, we're just constantly in this process of activating and rebalancing the earth energy so we can move into this oneness state.
Absolutely. And Lisa Renee, I don't know if you know Lisa.
Oh yeah, I know Lisa Renee.
Yeah, she calls it the spiritual nomad phase.
Yes.
Where a lot of us go through that. And you know, a lot of us have volunteered our human bodies, our actual physical embodiments on the surface of the planet as these liaison kind of in between, like we are of service, we are to be moved around the planet if need be for that positioning and the balance in the fields. And you know, whatever needs to happen on all of the dimensions, we are of service to whatever that translates to in form here on the planet. So a lot of us are at peace with this gypsy, free-flowing, moving, and owning very little.
Yes, absolutely. It's really a wonderful phase. And I want to talk about the Magrav unit that's behind you. Just before that, I'll mention I was led to these scrolls in Peru, which were amazing. And they were a galactic download from 1960 to 1978. And they're literally as big as blueprints. And the guy who wrote them would write in 12 minutes. He was writing like a printing machine, 10,000 words. And they have pictures of flying saucers and explain how vehicles of consciousness work. They're amazing. But one of the things they talk about is how the materialistic civilization will disintegrate. It will have to dismantle itself, and that we will build a new civilization founded in love. And I love the scrolls because of that. They're really a cool transmission. I'll share them with you sometime. I'll share maybe I'll put under this where people can read them online, because they were downloaded in Spanish in Peru, and the guy was from Chile, but he lived in Peru a lot of his life, and that's where I was led to these. So really interesting.
Wonderful. Yeah, definitely do share. That sounds great.
I will. So tell us about your Magrav unit, which looks so beautiful sitting over there in the corner of your lovely home.
Thank you. Yeah. So, you know, it's based on the original blueprint that Keshe released, and I can take you over. And can you see it well, or maybe I'll take you over for a little closer view.
Absolutely. Yes. Take us on a tour. We can see perfectly well. It's gorgeous. What a beautiful setup.
Thank you. So yeah, it's got the capacitors on both sides there. And it's got the 3 stacker coils in the middle there. And we've been conditioning it. So it's still, I'm going to set you back up here. So it's still in it's in the later conditioning phase. We are seeing a lower, when you put the watt meter in, we are seeing that the heater that we had plugged in, for instance, it's showing a lot lower than what the actual heater is supposed to be. But you know what? That's my husband. My husband, Jack, he's kind of the guy that checks that every night and writes it down. And we actually are due for another YouTube video to bring everybody up to speed on what's happening with it. Because we've documented everything up until this phase, until the conditioning was. So everybody.
Yeah, I wasn't your husband making videos of making the stuff out in the garage or carport or whatever?
Yeah, he's the curly hair.
Yeah, I remember seeing his videos and thinking, oh, that guy's really great.
He's the Australian accent curly hair guy. That's
Yeah,
Jack.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you guys both just ended up on this track together and were harmonious about following it together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. He got introduced to it quite a bit later than I did. And I would say, with his permission, that I kind of introduced it to him. And I'm more of the researcher. I definitely put in more of the time and I have more of the inclination to be like more scientific and just really, really committed to that, where he is incredible with the balance that we are together. He holds such an amazing, he's just what I would call a true Christ embodiment, really profound in terms of, what he models as far as being.
Beautiful.
So I think for him, he could feel and see that within the teachings and within the whole thing, he could sense that truth, because
Right.
that's his ability, right? As he could sense what's true versus a little bit off or distorted or, something that doesn't resonate. So I think it's really great.
Nice. So you have a couple of beautiful children. I'm sure they must be amazing souls that opted to come into this environment with you.
Thank
What
you.
do they think of all of it?
Oh, it's so hilarious. They're just they pick up on it. I mean, my 2-year-old, he's not quite 2 yet. He turns 2 in May. As soon as he could talk, really, he would walk over to the Magrav and just point to it and be like, Keshe, Keshe.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, and we really talk to him about all the different applications. We have the healing pens. I really apologize for not having it right here with me, because
Okay.
I took everything down for the workshop yesterday. But we use the pins on them, and we've got the CO2 pads or the patches that we've put in the Ziploc bags that we use. And we sometimes come over here and come in close to the field, and we'll do meditations together.
Nice.
Which is really, really great. And I find that it helps harmonize the environment in the home. If something is a little bit, too intense, or somebody's a little bit cranky, or whatever's happening, the kids got
Would
into
you say the unit itself kind of actually, I'm just getting chills talking about it. I mean, just trying to say it, I'm getting chills. So I'm sure it's true.
Oh,
But
yeah.
would you say the unit itself is creating kind of an amplified energy field around itself?
Yeah, it's a harmonizer. I would say that it's a harmonizer. It projects a field, which I would think, if I were to label it, I would say you're getting the unified field.
Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it.
Very good. Very beautiful. So you had a couple of little things that you were showing me earlier with the twisted wires and stuff.
Well, yeah. So what our next thing is we're going to, instead of having it hooked into the grid, we are going to do the plasma batteries. And so this was just the beginning of, and the person that designed this is Robert Stubblefield. Do you know Robert? He's he was the one that posted amazing results from his Magrav. So he actually designed this, and he calls it the Trinity Plasma Battery.
How exciting.
This is just the beginning of it. So what you do afterwards is you're gonna wrap each of these in the GANS with the baking paper. And then over that, you're gonna put either nano-coated aluminum foil or zinc. And then over that, you're gonna put the nano-coated copper coil. And then you have yourself a plasma battery that you can hook up to your Magrav, so that it's actually running on plasma instead of being run by the grid.
And then what will you do with that?
Well, we're going to take that over to the workshop so that everybody can see the Magrav. We're actually moving out of this place fairly soon, and we're going to be going to an off-grid location. So our next focus is really putting our energy and efforts into the off-grid systems, off-grid devices that are run on plasma.
great. I
Yeah.
mean, the beautiful thing I think about the way this has been presented is that we're getting kind of a transition from the old infrastructure. The old infrastructure has a way to be useful and to be adapted to a new system. And I think we're just in the early baby stages of showing how that works, of getting places adapted to the systems and all of that. So we'll have to come and do an update with you guys one of these days.
Yeah, and I'll have to show you. I did I just created this binder, and I'm gonna try to put this in a file so that anybody who wants to do a workshop will be able to somehow access this file and print all of these out, because what it is, it's the entire, the whole thing is full of testimonials of all of the different applications. So it's pretty, I think it's really great if you want to start hosting workshops in your country or your city, to be able to put this there for people to see the excitement of where, what people's results have been with energy, with transportation, health, agriculture, to see people's gardens and to see the testimonials and the health will just blow
so
mind.
I think that's one of the things that's the most important right now. So are you thinking you'll maybe turn it into a PDF that people could access?
Yeah. That's not, it's not an area of my expertise, but I'm sure it's not difficult to put all these different files and make them into probably a zip folder where I can share it somewhere and people can have access to it.
Actually, Mirza, who I did a show with recently, who's in Bosnia, did a really beautiful PDF, which he hasn't really put out publicly, but I was like, we need to get approval from the Keshe Foundation to put this out, because it would be such a help to people. And I think probably the same is true for yours. Yes. And he did a really great job graphically. He might help you maybe organize that.
Oh, great.
Put it into the form that people could get it. Because I think, there's so many of us here with abilities and tools. And if we can just coordinate with each other.
That's key. It's really bringing everybody together in one place, because everybody's got like these beautiful skills. Some are like communicators and some are graphic artists, and we just have to come together really, because we all have it. It's just how do we streamline it into a good presentation?
And part of the old system was to keep things secret, or to not let everybody know. And right now what we want to do is share the knowledge so it can activate all of us to do more and to operate at a greater level. So
it's so true. Yeah, it's exciting for me to move out of competition and this is my intellectual property, and I have to worry about my financials, so I need to like sell this, and it's like, it's so great.
We are so ready for a new system where we're all living in abundance together, and we're sharing the grace of planet Earth and the grace of our universe.
Yes. And I did want to mention, as this is, I don't know if I did mention it earlier, but it is very important for me to mention that Mike is also trying to kind of organize his Infinity project. So I should put that out there for people to, if they're interested. We are going to be filming this. There's a wonderful lady who's volunteered herself from the Hawaiian television station, which is called Ho'ike. She's going to be bringing all of her equipment, and she's going to be filming the workshop, both of them, and she's offered to edit it and publish it on YouTube. So the workshops will be available for everybody to watch on YouTube, which I think is wonderful.
That is fantastic.
So many people around the world are not going to get to come to any of these, and how often are we going to do them? And so I really feel so blessed and so happy to be offering that to everybody around the world.
Wonderful.
Get a chance.
Well, thank them from our global community.
I will.
And then what I'll do is I'll post this and whatever links you have. And then as the workshop gets up, I can go back and post it under this video so that when it becomes available, people can find it.
Excellent.
Cool. Thank you so much in your busy life to take the time to talk and share with our incredible global community.
Thank you. As with most things I've noticed with this whole plasma realm, everything kind of just is so aligned and so meant to be and so flawless that I really feel like I've entered this effortless stage of life where
Beautiful.
I just wake up and I'm saying, okay, I'm in service.
Beautiful. And, I've been waking up saying, like, I wake up and I meditate, and I wake up and I started saying to myself, instead of when is this or that going to happen, I say, it is happening. It already is now. And I step into that state of being in my day and my life. And I think it's really what we're all bringing into practicality right now is a really beautiful new way of being on planet Earth.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably the way we're designed to live as galactic and eternal beings of love and light.
Exactly. That's so profoundly true.
Okay, my sister, many blessings to you, your family, everyone in the workshop there.
If ever you want to do a follow-up, you know where to reach me. We'll do a follow-up.
Okay, I'll do that. And much love to our community out there. And I want to give thanks to Naturally Better TV, who is hosting these shows. And there are a number of other great presenters there as well, besides myself. And onward and forward, folks. Listen to your hearts and follow the truth, follow the light in yourself, because your radiance is needed on the planet right now. All right, much love. Many blessings.
Bye.
Ciao.
Aloha.